Hey everybody, welcome to Geekoholics Anonymous, episode 125. I'm your host Rico, here with my co-host,
Mr. Dane Cody.
Mr. Dane Cody and I get together once a week, talk about video games, TV, movies, and or whatever the hell we like. And mostly that being video games. Welcome back, Dean.
What's up, dude?
Welcome back, listeners. Thank you for lending us your ear for an hour and a half, plus or minus. Usually more on the plus side.
Yeah, it all depends on how we're feeling.
So here we are in chilly October.
Just getting a little chilly at night.
Everyone's all happy, snuggling up at home with their Super Nintendo classics. I think. I hope. I wish. We'll just pretend everyone got theirs.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Man, what happened last week? Oh yeah, I screwed up the podcast. I'm sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah, usually it's me. It's not only me.
You can send your beats to P.O. Box. Rico's a fucking idiot. Honestly, I don't know what happened. My mic had some static and
it was all crackly.
None of the filters I had I could get rid of. It wasn't so bad, but I don't know. I know some people listen to it. I don't blame you if you skipped last week's episode. But
I do. It was a good episode.
It was a good episode,
See?
which sucks because the clicking and popping was annoying. But I test recorded today and unplugged stuff and plugged stuff in, and I didn't hear any noise on my track today. So hopefully that is the case for the whole show.
Hopefully it stays that way.
Otherwise, someone might have to buy a new microphone. Because I can't guess. I have no idea why I did that.
Fair enough. So,
yeah, I'm trying to.
We normally start off the show with stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Then we do a little what you've been playing. And then sometimes we dive into some news. And then we get into our public service announcements, or PSAs. And then we roll you out with some free-for-alls and all that good stuff. But Rick, what do we get to before we do all that?
Well, if you can't be a geekaholic without being an alcoholic.
Yeah, buddy.
And we usually start the show with our designated drinking section before all of that.
Exactly.
And
what are you drinking, Rick?
What am I drinking?
Yeah, I want to know. The people they want to know.
You get one guess.
Iced tea.
No.
Oh, man.
Can you hear that noise?
Yep.
It's like the plastic around the neck of my bottle of Crown Royal.
Wow.
Going back to the good old Crown.
I am impressed that you're actually drinking
something. It's been a
something.
while. I don't think I'm sick anymore. I think I kicked it. It was a whole month, this freaking cold that wouldn't go away.
I told you to drink more, man. That's solution.
Now I feel like I'm in a place where I can actually start drinking again.
Yeah.
I literally think I was sick since PAX. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
What are you drinking?
This evening I'm drinking some Maker's Mark 46. It is quite delicious. It's a slight change on Maker's Mark bourbon. It's a little stronger. It's 47% alcohol. It's got some bite.
Is the 46 the alcohol or is that the age?
To be honest with you, I'm not actually sure what the 46 stands for. Because I know on the bottle it says 47% alcohol. It's nice. I like it. It's got a little bit more bite than usual bourbon. Ooh. And it's got nice flavor, though. So, yeah. There you go. That's what I'm drinking.
Oh,
neat.
Man, I just took a nice swig there. It's like, blah, blah, blah.
I'll put some hair on your chest, Rick.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I need more. So, Dane.
Yo.
From last week, I can't remember. Did I get in anything crazy? I had kid birthday party. I got some cool Transformers.
What?
Stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, I got like a Transformer sippy cup. So cool.
Oh, that's what those photos were about.
Yeah, it was my buddy's son's birthday.
That's
and
pretty cool.
He's totally into Transformers. But all the napkins and stuff is like classic kind of Optimus Prime. Well, Robots in Disguise, I guess.
Okay.
But not Gen 1, but not the Michael Bay crap.
Fair enough.
Actually, speaking of that...
You're going to save that for the free-for-all?
I guess I could. No, I'm going to talk about it right now because I don't have much to say about it. I saw the last night.
Yep.
That movie was bad.
All right.
That movie's bad.
I didn't mind it.
There was some entertaining parts.
Yeah.
But my God, there was so much cringe. I was so sad.
That's interesting. Like I said, I didn't mind it. It was not... I feel like at this point, I didn't
even pay for it.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like at this point, and I think we've talked about this when I saw it in the theater, I just feel like they're making the same movie over again and over again. And while, don't get me wrong, the first one I really liked, and I really, for what it was giant robot aliens beating the crap out of each other, and I dug it. I could get behind it. At this point, I just feel like they've kind of made that same movie with different people in it 4 or 5 times now. And while I enjoyed it, I didn't mind it. I had fun with it. I don't know. I wasn't... like I said, I didn't think it was terrible, but I didn't think it was great. It was just kind of, it was. I don't know. That was kind of my take on it. So it was kind of forgettable, if you will.
It was totally forgettable.
It was one of those movies where you finish watching, and then until you brought it up on Twitter, I was like, oh yeah, I saw that. Right. Huh. Yeah, it was okay. I had fun, and that was it. So, anyways, there you go.
Yeah. It was okay at best. It was mostly bad.
Fair enough.
I don't know how. Oh. Because I honestly thought the last one wasn't terrible. The last one I thought was watchable and entertaining.
With Optimus Prime riding Grimlock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one just had so much unbelievable crap in it. And the story was all over the place.
Yeah, to be fair, this one, I feel like I don't know, it was almost like they tried... After the last one, it was kind of like the writers didn't seem to know where they should go from there. And they went in very... I don't know, I actually feel like this last movie had more to do with the writing of it than anything. I think it was well directed still. I think that all the actors did a good job. I really liked Anthony Hopkins in it. He was great, I thought. All the explosions and the aliens and everything else and the Transformers, they all looked great and they all looked fine. But I think the story writing in it was, I don't know, they went way too complicated for their own good. And
it seemed like there was just, like I said on Twitter, it was just designed by committee. It seemed like there was way too many people involved with trying to tie these storylines, trying to make this artificial depth or something to the world that...
Yeah. Well, and
I don't know.
After the last one where, I don't know, they're getting themselves into a weird spot where, the world has been taken over by, I don't know, they're getting into that sort of near future weirdness, and I don't know if that also has something to do with the fact that it doesn't feel as good anymore because it's not to be fair, none of these movies were relatable, but they were kind of relatable because at least they were happening in our time. And I think in the last one, they started pushing it into the whole near future. And this one felt like it was 10 years after that one. And the world was just kind of weird and unrelatable. I don't know. With them chasing Transformers and being these big restricted areas and the technology and I don't know. Yeah. Like I said, I was entertained, but it was easily, I felt, the weakest of the movies of the franchise. So,
are you not entertained? No,
yeah,
I wasn't. I was annoyed.
Yeah, and that's fair. So, there you go.
I wouldn't say. Well, no, I did say it was awful. I've seen worse, but goddamn, it's just so sad. I thought it was. I had no desire to see it in the theater.
Right.
I saw it on video on demand. as most of you know by now, I get free video on demand from work, so I didn't have to pay for it. Even if I had paid for it, I probably would have been pretty upset.
Mm-hmm.
But I just had such low expectations, and usually when I have low expectations, shit always exceeds them. And it was just like, oh man, that was 2 hours plus of my life.
Right.
And then I really didn't like what they did with their twist at the end. Like, what are you talking about? Like, bullshit fucking new lore that they're coming up with. Like, are you kidding me? And the whole last night thing was fucking pointless. It was absolutely pointless.
Yeah, it is what it is. I don't know.
Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's get into what you've been playing, Dane.
Oh, man. What have I been playing? Well,
I've been playing a bunch of stuff.
I've been playing on my Super Nintendo Classic.
Yeah, as have I.
So, a little side story on that. I was not able to pre-order one, as anybody who listens to the podcast probably knows. So because Reggie and Nintendo were getting out in front saying like, oh yeah, there's going to be lots of these. You're going to be able to get one. Just relax. We're sending out lots on launch day. And so I was thinking, okay, well, I won't worry about it too much. I'll try and see if I can get one. So Friday morning came and my wife she had to go to work, and the Walmart by our house opens at 7. And I was like, hey, on your way to work, do you mind like maybe just swinging over there and seeing if they're open and they can, if they have any. She's like, yeah, sure. So she got up in the morning and deked over there. So apparently people started showing up at that Walmart at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that was the same over here because I was working, but I had a chance to swing by.
Right.
One of my jobs canceled, so I'm like, oh, well, I'll just swing by and have a look at what's going on.
Yeah. And
I went to our Best Buy, and there was like no one there. I'm like, okay, that's weird.
Right.
And this is like 8:30, and then some kid came by, and he told me, he's like, oh, they're handing out tickets. He said, oh, they had something like 60 or so.
Yeah.
But only like 15 of us were here at 7 in the morning, so I'm pretty sure they have some left if you wait around. I'm like, I hum and hawed, and he's like, yeah, Walmart had theirs all given away at like 5 in the morning.
Yeah, so that's what happened to my wife. She went over there, and apparently people started lining up at 5 a.m. I guess managers and stuff, some people started showing up for work early at about 5:30. And apparently when they started showing up there, they then went out into the line and handed out tickets. And apparently at 5:30, they had already given away all of their tickets. So when they opened at 7,
find out how many they had?
55. They had 55 units.
So they were already gone then.
Yeah.
You didn't even have a chance.
No, they were already completely, like, apparently they said when they got there at 5:30, the lineup was already around the block, like around the Walmart. Like, it was huge.
Wow.
They said they couldn't believe how long the lineup was. And unfortunately, like, I had to go to work, and I was not in a position to be able to try and get to a store because Best Buy opens at 10. EBs around here open at 10 as well. So I was like, oh man, well, I guess that's that. At around, I had an opportunity to deke out of the office for a bit at around 11:30 where I had to go to a site, and I could have kind of wandered out of my way to try and see if I could get one. And I gave that particular, like, Best Buy and EB, like, a quick call, and they were like, oh yeah, we were sold out the moment we opened our doors. And I was like, oh, okay. And they didn't tell me how many they had. They just said we were, like, sold out as soon as we opened, and before, because there was already lineups, like, that were huge. So I was like, okay, well, that's pretty much that. I kind of had thought that was going to be the end of it. And then later on, I get home, and my wife hands me a box, and she's like, is this what you were looking for earlier? And I was like, what? She had a Super Nintendo Classic.
That's pretty awesome.
So apparently she had gone to work, and she had to swing by her mailbox and pick up some mail. And I guess like across the street from her, from the mail, like, or from the post office down where she works, there was a GameStop, and there was a few people lined up, but not that many. And she's like, well, I wonder. So this was at about 8 a.m., I guess.
Yeah.
So they don't open until 10. So she wandered over there, and they were like, I guess, they were like, oh yeah, they haven't, she counted, and there was about 10 people in front of her. She's like, well, I'll hold out and see what happens. Like, we'll see how many they have or whatever. Turns out they had 15.
Oh, wow.
And so she ended up getting a ticket, but the manager flat out said, like, I'm giving you these tickets, but if you leave and we don't, like, if you go away and you walk away from your spot, we will give that away to somebody else. Like, so the ticket essentially guarantees you a spot so long as you stay here and get it right away. But if you go away and you don't, wait it out, we will give it away to somebody else. So
that was in what, the States?
That was down in the US, yeah. So
Where specifically?
What's that, sorry? That was
where specifically?
That was down in Bellingham.
Okay, I was gonna say, I think in Vancouver with the bigger population, you guys probably had a harder time. But like here in Victoria, I think if you were anywhere with the exception of Walmart, if you were at one of the EBs, and I think we have 4 or 5,
yeah,
or one of the 2 Best Buys, if you were there by like 8:30, I think you were okay. Like they still had like a few extra, but if you 9 o'clock, 9:30, I think is where people were like getting too late.
Yeah. So anyway,
because I had a couple buddies try and grab some, and they were closer to opening, and they just like, nope.
So I was super lucky. My wife waited in line for 2 hours.
That's awesome.
And picked me up a Super NES Classic.
That's dope.
Yeah.
My wife would never do that.
So I ended up getting one because my wife is awesome. Which
I know we were
super
texting
cool.
back and forth, and you were like sounding pretty bummed. You're like, it seemed like you were like, you were accepting the fact that you weren't going to get one. And then I was like, dude, they have them on Amazon Prime if you have Prime. And then like by the time you went there, they were gone.
By the time I even logged in, they were gone, man. Like they went so fast.
No, they were up for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I don't know if there was a delay in my text to you, but they were up for at least 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was. To be fair, I was in a meeting when you texted me, and I didn't get a chance to look at my text till after I was out of the meeting. So
I texted one of my coworkers, and he didn't get to it quick enough either, which is unfortunate because he's been looking for one.
So,
but yeah, I just pre-ordered mine, so I just showed up at EB and picked it up and was like, woo woo. And the crazy thing is the one that the European, I got the North American one and I got the European one, which if you follow me on Twitter, you've probably seen photos. But the one I got from the UK, it got here insanely fast.
Wow.
Like in something like 5 days.
Oh, wow. That's pretty solid.
I think it shipped on Wednesday last week.
Yeah.
And I got it on Monday.
Wow, that's really good.
Which is crazy.
Speaking of fast shipping, I ordered a laptop a while ago for work, and it came from Hong Kong in 2 days.
What?
I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, I guess I'll see this like in a week. And like 2 days later, it showed up at the office. I was like, holy crap, that was fast.
Was that for yourself or was that for work?
Well, it was for me. It was my work laptop. So but I mean, it wasn't through like a work account because it wasn't through like Dell or somebody big like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was crazy though. So we plugged that in.
Yeah.
One thing I gotta admit that was super cool, and I really liked about the Super NES Classic was I plugged it in and I jumped to the main menu, and then we were working on like dinner or whatever it was, and all of a sudden Mario will like jump up and start they'll essentially play previews of every single one of the games. It will go through.
That I noticed that when I left it.
So cool.
I left it alone for a bit, and then I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, but I bumped the controller, and then it went back to just the menu.
Right.
And I'm like, what was that?
Yeah, if you leave
so that's what it is. So it goes into like a demo mode.
Yeah, and Mario will jump up and he'll hit every single game, and they'll do like a little intro and then some gameplay of every single game on there.
Oh, that's pretty freaking cool.
It was pretty awesome. So we actually like sat there and watched like all of the little clips and stuff, and I think I had a stupid grin on my face the whole time because some of that's just like all the nostalgia and stuff. It was great.
So what was the first game you played?
First game I played, funny enough, was actually Yoshi's Island.
Whoa.
Reason being, I never played it back in the day.
Yoshi's Island's pretty fantastic.
So I was like, man, I never played Yoshi's Island. Let's play a little of that. So, so I booted that up and started playing some of that. It was great. Here's a question for you. What view do you use? Do you use the scan lines? Do you do a pixel perfect? Or do you do 4 and 3?
I played, well, for starters, the first game I played was Super Mario World.
Yeah, fair enough.
The very first Super Nintendo game I owned. It was the pack-in. I had to play it. It was just like trip down memory lane.
Oh, for sure.
And at first I had it on the 4x3.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then I'm like, let's play with these other ones. And I turned on the pixel perfect mode, which I thought was weird because it made it. I felt like it squished it in.
Yeah,
I wasn't a fan of it. And then I actually played with some of the borders on the sides.
Yeah.
So I put one of the themes around the side because the black space.
You're right.
On the edges was driving me crazy. And I actually turned on scan lines.
Yeah.
I thought it looked kind of cool with the scan lines. I feel like it softened the harsh, super sharp pixels a little bit and made it like had a little warmer feel to it.
Yep.
I don't know if it's like how my mind remembered it looking or whatnot back on the CRT.
Well, I mean,
TV when I was playing it, but
you would have been playing it with scan lines, so that's the way your brain remembers it, right? I find when I don't play without this, when I play without the scan lines, it looks too clean. It's weird.
Yeah, it does look and feel weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What else did I play? So I played that. I did a few stages, and then I did a save state, which is amazing because you can just save anywhere.
I know, it's great.
And then what did I play next? Oh, I started A Link to the Past. And I'm like, oh man, this game's so good still.
You, me both. So I figured, because my wife was like, ooh, I want to play something. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I can play you, like, maybe I can walk you through some Zelda. Like, that seems like something that might be a thing. I forgot how hard that game was.
What's stupid is I can't believe how much I remember, and I don't think I've played that game in well over 20 years.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised about that as well.
I'm like, oh, we go this way, okay, got to go over here now.
Oh yeah, there's
those knights. The knights at the start can be a little bit of a pain in the ass, though. I know what you mean, because you got to hit them from a certain side because the way your sword swings.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, so I got to go or manipulate around you to hit because you're just holding your sword out.
Yeah, so...
You can hold yours out as well, but...
So yeah, so funny. I don't know, she kind of lost interest in it fairly quickly, I think, yeah, so I will probably continue playing that, and I don't know, we'll see. There's some games on there that I've never played that I'm super excited to play, though.
I think the one game that's on there that I want to play more than anything and have to play because of my like gamer shame is I think I have to play and beat Earthbound.
Really?
I've never played it and I've never beaten it. So it's like one of those like glaring omissions from gaming history.
That's a game that I'm not sure if I'll like, I don't know. There's so much mystique, and that game has been talked up so much and stuff. But when I look at it and I try to get into it, because I had it for, I think, was it the Wii or the Wii U? One of those.
It was on the Virtual Console, I think, on Wii U last year.
and I tried it there, and I don't know. There's something about it for me personally. I don't know. It's weird. I just can't. I don't know. I just couldn't get into it. I was lucky because a friend of mine bought it, and I was like, oh man, I'm super excited to try this. And then I tried, and I don't know. It just didn't click for me. For me, that game is actually the one that I really want to play is actually Super Mario RPG. That was actually one of the reasons that I wanted to buy the Super NES Classic was actually for Secret of Mana and Super Mario RPG. I've always wanted to play both of those games, and I wasn't able to play either of them back when I had a Super Nintendo. And I know Super Mario RPG, I don't believe has come out on any of the virtual consoles. I could totally be wrong, and maybe it has, but yeah. So that one for me is the one that I'm like super interested in getting into and playing. So
I'm pretty happy with it though.
Yeah,
it's such a cool little, such a great
so
system.
Small, man. I can't, like, I pulled it out of the box and like the controllers are just about bigger than it is. Like, it's so tiny.
Because you never ended up getting the NES, right?
No. Which I don't know that I want the NES, to be honest with you.
No, you know what? The NES has some great games, but the Super Nintendo is,
yeah, like with the Super Castlevania and like
it's such a better console.
Yeah, and I feel like it's part of it also has to do with the fact that I think it's aged better. How's that? Like the Nintendo is great, and I loved it. And I probably played way more Nintendo as a kid than I even did Super Nintendo, but I think it's just that the Super Nintendo games, we'd hit a point with the 16-bit era where some of those quality of life things that we wished we could have had on the Nintendo were finally there on the Super Nintendo, and it just made for an overall such a better experience. And I feel like that transitions better into now. Like some games you try to go back to and you try to play and it's just, I don't know. Some people could argue with me and they say, oh no, you can totally go play some of those. But I think some older games are better left in your head than they are to be tried to be played again. For me, one of those was definitely GoldenEye on the 64. Like it's a game that I remember being amazing. And I remember playing hundreds of hours of probably as a kid. But if I try to go back and play it now, it does not hold up well. And I feel like the Nintendo has a lot more games like that, whereas the Super Nintendo, that 2D look with those quality of life improvements and save states and things like that, it makes those games so much more playable still.
I haven't even used the rewind feature. I'm kind of interested to see.
Oh man, I completely forgot that that's even in there.
Yeah, well, I haven't died yet in either game, so I haven't had a use for it, but that's exactly what it's for.
Totally.
It's like built-in cheat mode. Yeah. It's such a cool little system. So I hope everyone out there had good luck with picking one up.
Yeah, I still think
that it wasn't too hard. There's going to be another wave. There definitely was way more consoles than at the NES Classic launch.
Yeah.
So I think already we're ahead of the game.
And seeing as we're going to be getting more NES Classics next year, I mean, if you really wanted to get one of those, just wait a bit and you'll be able to get one.
And then there was a Switch restock as well. So people were looking for Switches. The lining on the cake for some people is they couldn't get the Super Nintendo. Like, oh, you guys have Switches? Well, I guess I'll get a Switch now.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so I played some of that. I will get back to that, of course.
Oh yes, there will be many things that get talked about from that, I'm sure. And then I'm not gonna lie, the only other thing, well, almost the only other thing that I've been playing, is Battle Chasers. I have been hooked on that game. I am absolutely loving it. It's a bit, so now that I'm able to talk about it,
I'm playing it as well.
Now that I'm able to talk about it, I'm playing the PC version because that's the code that got sent to me initially. I was a Kickstarter backer, so full disclosure, I did Kickstarter it back like 2 years ago when it was a Kickstarter. So I decided I'm going to try and get a Switch version of that. So my Kickstarter backer version won't be here for a bit because there's been some issues with the Unity engine that they're trying to iron out before they can release it for the Switch. But that being said, I've been playing it on my PC, Steam. It runs solid like 60 frames a second. It's been gorgeous. I'm playing it with a controller just on front of my PC, which actually works out better for me because my wife likes her TV.
I was gonna ask you if you were playing with mouse and keyboard or controller. So
I've been playing with the controller because it is essentially that type of game. I haven't really had a reason to play. Mouse and keyboard literally does nothing for me. As far as it's a turn-based RPG, kind of old school style, with probably the most beautiful art you've ever seen. It's incredible. It feels like you're playing a comic book in the best way possible. I don't know if I've ever loved the look of a game more than that game. And probably for me because it's based on a comic book created by one of my favorite comic book artists, and he was the head of art. He was the art director for this game at Airship Syndicate. So for me, I'm absolutely fallen in love with the art. That's what originally drew me to it back when it was only a comic book in the 90s, and I read those comic books and loved them. And so the fact that he was then going to create a video game based on that was just music to my eyes. So yeah, I've been honestly loving this game. It's a turn-based RPG. It's sort of a throwback to... It's kind of like if you were to make one of the older Final Fantasy games, but with some of the beauty and the high resolution and stuff from today. I love the battle system. It's got a turn-based battle system where it's got a really neat system where you've got regular attacks that build up what they call an overcharge, which essentially is almost like free mana. So you've got a mana bar, but if you do regular attacks, you will gain overcharge. And then when you do actions that would normally need mana, instead of killing your mana bar, you just use up the overcharge. And then other characters as well, they use up overcharge in slightly different ways. So some of the other characters that use swords and things like that maybe don't use up mana as much. They'll be able to use the overcharge almost like a overboost system to hit harder or hit more and things like that. It's challenging. It's not super easy. You gotta definitely be on your toes when you play.
Yeah, it's a little strategic.
Yeah,
I've noticed.
Totally.
I haven't died yet, but there's a couple battles where I'm super early in the game. I've only played about 2 hours. I'm in the first dungeon.
Oh man. Yeah, you're just barely scratching the surface.
Yeah, well, we all have an addiction over here, but I've been starting to kick it, so.
Oh, fair enough. So there's that, as well as there's a bit of almost like a it's like a boost gauge so every time you do an action or every time you get hit or defend against an action, it creates like a boost gauge that goes up, and your overcharge at the end of each battle resets back to 0. So if you've used a whole bunch of mana, that will still be the same. So your health and your mana from battle to battle, they do not get recharged. But your boost gauge, so whatever you've added to the boost gauge, does linger from battle to battle. So so that's really helpful sometimes when you're going from one battle and then you jump into another one, and then you're sitting there and you're like, oh man, I'm kind of low on health or mana or whatever, or I'm up against an enemy that's a little bit tougher, and you can kind of and using your boost is kind of like limit breaks in Final Fantasy game.
They're like the super moves.
Yeah, and each character has different, so you start off with 0 boost gauge at all, and then as you go along in the game, you actually unlock your first level boost, and then you unlock the second level boost. And then there's, I believe, a third level boost, which I haven't unlocked yet. I'm about 15 hours, almost 16 hours into the game. I've finished 3 dungeons. I found my 4th dungeon, and I went to go jump into it, and it was saying that it was going to be very, very difficult. So I've actually started to do a little bit of wandering around and just essentially leveling up a bit before I try and tackle that dungeon. The other thing I will say is that each dungeon has 3 difficulties. So there's normal, hard, and then legendary. So normal and hard are open to you right off the bat, but legendary unlocks when you beat the dungeon. So you can play through the dungeon, and then you can play through the dungeon again on legendary. And a lot of people are going like, well, that sounds really lame. But the thing is that each dungeon is made up of like a series of rooms. And I use the term room loosely. It's like, and essentially each dungeon, every time you enter the dungeon or start one, those rooms will be mixed up, so it's random.
I was going to say, it's random.
So every time so it's not
procedurally generated, right?
Yeah, it's not completely procedurally generated because those rooms are the same, but they're mixed up in such a way, and sometimes there's new rooms added, and sometimes so every time you go into the dungeon, especially the first time, those are not all the rooms for that dungeon. Like, there's definitely a few more, because I've played through a couple of dungeons now, and I got rooms that I never got the first time, and they were arranged in a different way. And like I said, I use room kind of loosely, because sometimes you'll actually like go into different rooms within that. We'll call them squares more than anything. Like, so you'll enter into a square, and within that square, there could be rooms, there could be traps. Sometimes there's puzzles and enemies. First of all, one thing that I absolutely love about this game, no random encounters. All of the enemies, especially in the dungeons, you can see them. And you can attack them. You actually have like overworld abilities so that each character, so you have a party of 3 characters when you go into a dungeon, and when you go into the dungeon, you can adjust your party. As you play through the game, you will have other characters that will join your party. I believe there's a total of 6 characters. I have 5 of them, so I've met the last character, but he's not a part of my party yet. And so when you enter the dungeon, you can select a team of 3 to play through the dungeon with. And that's the only time, essentially at the beginning of the dungeon or in town. Those are like kind of like the 2 places you can adjust your party. But once you enter the dungeon, that's the party that you play through the dungeon with.
So you can't change it on the overworld?
No, you have to either go to the tavern or go over to one of the dungeons. If you go to one of the dungeons, you don't actually have to enter the dungeon. If you click on it, you can adjust a few things, like one of them being obviously the difficulty of the dungeon and your characters. So if you can kind of use it. I've used it a few times because they happen to be close to me to just adjust my party like that. So you have 3 characters that you play through the dungeon with, and each character has an ability when you're not in combat. So, for example, Calibretto, he's like a big war mech dude. He can heal your party when you're not in combat. He also heals your party in combat, but outside when you're running around doing things, if, say, for example, you've had a couple battles and you're maybe a little low on health and you're like, oh man, I don't want to use like potions or things like that. When you enter the dungeon, each character can use their abilities 6 times throughout that dungeon. So you essentially have 6 more or less free heals from him if he's in your party.
Yeah, they're what do they call that? Is that a dungeon ability or?
Yeah, I think they're like a dungeon ability,
else.
something like that. And other characters have one of the other characters, Gully. She has like this ground pound ability, so that you can actually like attack the enemy before you actually get into a battle with them.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
So, like, is it if you use that ability, you get first turn and advantage?
Sometimes it's first turn at an advantage. Sometimes you'll actually put status effects on the enemies when you go into a battle. So like on the overworld, you'll see the enemy and you can, for example, not Gully, not Calibretto, who's the main guy. I'm having like a brain fart. The dude with the sword, anyways, he's got an ability where you can dash forward. If you use like the dash forward ability into enemies, you will do first attack, and also it does a status effect on the enemies. And if you use ground pound from Gully on the enemy, one, you will do damage to that enemy before you even enter combat, which is cool because they'll enter combat hurt. And two, they'll also have a status effect on them. Some of the other abilities that some of the other characters that you you actually get more than one. So I've actually unlocked 2 dungeon abilities per character now.
Oh, okay. The level that you're at.
Yeah, and so like for me, one of the abilities that Garrison, that's who it is. Sorry, the main dude with the big sword. He's got an ability that it's like it's like a flashbang. And if you throw that and then enter combat, they'll be stunned initially when you get into combat. So you'll essentially get like...
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you'll get like
hit.
2 turns in on them essentially before they are unstunned, which is super helpful. So there's like a ton of different... Like there's a ton of depth to the combat. And I think they do a really good job of not just piling it all on top of you here, like they build it up gradually, which is really nice. Obviously there's loot and stuff that your characters are getting throughout the game. There's
using your classic loot colors, green, blue, purple, and so forth.
Yep. There's also a whole thing where you're getting stuff, and there's blacksmiths and there's enchantments and things like that, so you can
crafting. I ran into a crafting table, but I didn't have any mats to craft any. Like I have mats, but I guess I didn't have any specific mats to actually craft anything.
You know what it is? You probably hadn't talked to the blacksmith to got any recipes.
Oh, you have to buy recipes. I talked to him, but I didn't buy anything. I didn't realize you had to buy stuff off of him.
Yep, you can buy stuff. So you can buy recipes for him. He'll essentially give you like these books that you can buy armor recipes and weapon recipes.
Can you fast travel back to town?
Yep. There's actually, as you keep going, you'll unlock portals. And when you go to one of those portals, you can essentially fast travel.
Portal in a dungeon.
You can portal around the dungeon as well.
Yeah, so that's separate.
Yeah, so the portals in the dungeon you can use to portal to another portal in the dungeon. So if you've come across a portal and you've cleared that square, then that portal will become active, and when you go to another portal, if you want, you can go back and forth. There's usually 3 to 4 portals per dungeon, I found, and you can use them to like fast travel back and forth around the dungeon, because sometimes you want that. So it's pretty cool. And the overworld has a very similar thing where there's portals in various places and you can use them to fast travel to any of the other portals. And one of the portals is back at town, so you can always kind of like jump back to town if you want. And usually most of the dungeons have a portal fairly close to them, so it's usually fairly easy. But no, it's awesome. There's a ton of depth to the combat. There's a lot of really cool crafting and various things to do. There's hunts to do.
I was fishing in the dungeon I was in.
Yeah, fishing is like, initially I was like, oh, this seems really like it's kind of a cool mini game or whatever, but I didn't really see the point. So one of the places that you'll unlock in town is for like, it's like a person that sells legendary gear, more or less, like, and they only deal in shadow coins. And so you have to get shadow coins from like selling them artifacts. They're like the artifact vendor, I think is what they kind of are considered. And by selling them artifacts, they will give you shadow coins. And then you can use those shadow coins to buy essentially legendary gear from them. So some of their gear will be like purple and blue and really good stuff that, you probably want. And by fishing, you will actually get, there's a character in the game that you'll come across later on that will actually buy fish off you for shadow coins. So a little tidbit there to maybe do some fishing.
So it's a good thing I caught every fish in that pool.
You probably did the same thing I did. That was the first pool you came across.
Yeah. I'm like,
I did that too.
I'm going to keep going until everything's out of here.
Yeah.
They did patch the movement speed up.
Mm-hmm.
Remember I was complaining about that to you offline last week.
Yeah.
Not quite as fast as I would like it, but it's definitely an improvement from the molasses walk before the patch. It was so slow.
Yeah, I'm surprised. There was a big patch before the game came out.
Huge bunch of tweaks.
Yeah.
It's a cool game. I'm only one dungeon in, and I can tell I really like it.
Yeah.
It's got that classic JRPG, this freaking outstanding art style. It's,
totally.
It's been pretty well received. I think I've seen like nothing but 8s plus or minus. So
yeah,
that's good. I'm happy for those guys.
The one thing I will say, like I'm loving it. But there is a bit of I shouldn't say a grind, but there's a bit of a grind later on for sure. Like I came across when I finished my 3rd dungeon, I went to my 4th, like I went back to town and I talked to the person and they're like, oh yeah, go here. And so I went and I talked to this other guy and then he's like, oh yeah, you got to go get me this thing or whatever. So then I ended up going over to the 4th dungeon. And it was pretty much like when I looked at the difficulty, it was pretty much like impossible. And I was like, oh, well, that seems awkward. So then
did you try going back and playing some of the other dungeons on a harder difficulty?
So then I actually went back to the first dungeon initially and I played it on hard. But of course at that point I'm 3 dungeons past that. So it was fairly easy for me at that point because I was like most of my characters were like level 11, level 12. So what kind of threw me as well is I got a new character. So I played that new character in the one dungeon in the 3rd dungeon. I played them because I got the character before the dungeon. I was like, oh cool, I want to play this character. This seems really cool. So then of course I played through that whole 3rd dungeon, a bunch of my other characters as well as him. They all leveled up. So then it's the classic JRPG thing where you get new characters and then of course like do you level up all your characters the same? So do you keep swapping out characters or do you know what I mean? Like because then the other characters that you aren't using aren't leveling anymore, right? So like I had one character that was only like level 9, but I thought, man, like that's probably going to be a really good character to use down the road. So then I essentially went back and ended up more or less leveling them all up. So now they're all roughly in the same area again. And then I got another character at the end of the 3rd dungeon, I think it was. And she was like level 13 and my guys were only like level 11. So I'm assuming and I'm guessing because I haven't obviously gone in there yet, but I'm assuming that the 4th dungeon you probably want to be level 13 or higher would be my guess. But that being said, there's also like other side stuff to do, so you can go back and play the other dungeons. So I went back and I played the 3rd dungeon again on a harder difficulty with some other characters, and I'm not going to lie, initially it was a bit rough because they hadn't leveled up. Like, I'd had one of the characters that was only like level 9, and then I had the other character, and so it was a little bit rough in the very beginning, and I was like, oh man, I might have to swap one of these guys out. I don't know how this is going to work, but I moved past it. They leveled up, and it was good, and I managed to finish the dungeon. But then I actually went out and there's a Beastmaster, and she gives you like hunts. So you get...
Oh yeah, she's in the first town. I remember
Yeah,
her.
she's in the town. And she'll give you like hunts that you can do. So I actually got a hunt from her, and I went and I managed to do that. It was fairly difficult, actually. I may have died the first time. Oh, and then I went... So like, there's people in town that give you quests that aren't just go to the dungeon and do some stuff. If you go talk to the tavern dude, he'll probably tell you that there's a quest in the basement underneath the town. So like the first time he was like, hey, we got a spider problem down there. So I had to like go down there and like kill a whole bunch of spiders, which of course then accumulated in a giant ass spider that was super hard that I had to beat. And then he's now given me a quest to go feed a bunch of, I can't remember what they are, but they're like sludge things. And I went down there and totally got my ass handed to me. It was brutal. So I will definitely go back down there when I've, got a little bit higher level or whatever. But there's definitely some other stuff to do. There's also an arena that you can use to help level up as well. So you can go to the arena and you essentially fight waves of enemies. I think there's a total of 8 waves. So you can kind of use that too. And they like get harder as you go. So you can also use that as a way to kind of, so there's various ways to level up your characters. So it's not just completely grinding out dungeon after dungeon. I actually really like the overworld as well. There's like...
The overworld's kind of cool.
It's like kind of like a hand-drawn map almost, it looks like.
Top-down, like map, treasure map kind of look to it.
Yeah, totally. And every time you come back to it, the enemies on the overworld and some of the treasure stuff will have moved around. So, and little side hint as well, once you get to a certain level, some of the lesser enemies in some of the beginning areas, you don't actually have to fight if you don't want to, because it'll just be like, attack lesser enemy, and you're like, oh, I don't want to fight him because I'm not really going to get anything from him, so you can just move past it.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. But no, overall, man, I'm like 16 hours in, and I'm absolutely loving it. It is super right up my alley. It totally scratches that old school Final Fantasy IV itch that I have been wanting to play for so long, but with such a sweet
it's got
art
an amazing
style,
presentation and art style,
and the animation in that game is incredible. Even
it's
just
fantastic.
The way that they when you attack characters, or when your characters attack enemies and things like that, like, it's just the power behind everything. Like, it just feels so good. And it's not easy either.
I'm liking.
It's definitely got like some difficulty to it as well. So yeah. So no, if you're into that type of game, I highly recommend it. Obviously it's, not going to be for everyone, because not everybody likes turn-based RPGs.
I would say it's a hardcore turn-based RPG.
But if that's your thing, man, by all means, give it a shot, because I'm loving it. Cool. It's really cool.
Like I said, I'm only a couple hours in, but I can tell I really like it. So I'm definitely something special.
I'm hooked. Like, the more I'm sitting here talking about it, the more I just want to go play it.
I picked up Cuphead.
Made by a Canadian studio.
Are they Canadian?
Heck yeah, from Saskatchewan.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Well, give you some knowledge.
So, Cuphead is a run and gun side-scrolling shooter.
Yeah. With like a 1930s
like
Steamboat Mickey style to it.
Yeah, like a Mega Man / Contra style platforming and shooting run and gun platformer. And like Dane was saying, it has a very, very unique aesthetic. It looks like an old 1930s cartoon.
It looks really cool.
Completely hand animated. Has really cool music.
Heard it's hard as balls.
Has a fantastic animation look and feel. It is hard. At first, when this game was unveiled to people, it was basically a boss mode rush game where you just fought bosses.
Right.
There was no side-scrolling platformer levels. Those were added later because people were like, okay, what's the game like? And they're like, no, this is the game. And it's like, so they've gone back, and hence why it's probably a good year late, as they've gone and created these side-scrolling levels. So you've got your 8-way shooting. You can shoot in all 8 directions. You can jump. You can dash. While you jump, you can... There's an air dash. While you jump, you can do like a parry.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what the reasoning is behind it, but if enemies shoot or throw... If something's pink, you can jump and parry off of it.
Interesting.
Which usually kills the enemy, bounces stuff back at enemies, or I haven't even seen all the stuff that happens, but for whatever reason, it has to be pink. If it ain't pink, you can't parry it while you're jumping. You just have to avoid it. You have 3 hearts, 3 hits, basically. Right. And then it's over.
Okay.
You get different weapons. So you start out with your simple, just like they're just doing like the hand gun motion, and then like these blue bullets are flying out of their hands, which is kind of funny. So it's Cuphead and his brother Mugman. Basically, they end up going to the casino, and they're on a winning streak, and then the devil comes down, who owns the casino, and like gives them hey, I'll give you everything. If you win this next hand, or nothing, or you owe me your souls. And the one character, Cuphead, and his brother, Mugman, Mugman's like, no, don't do it. But, Cuphead's all like enticed by the grand prize, and he throws snake eyes. So now they owe their soul to the devil. And basically they're like, oh no, please don't take our souls. And he's like, okay, I will let you off the hook if you go collect all these contracts of other people's souls that are owed to me.
Wow.
So then basically you go on your little adventure, and it's got like a top-down overworld, similar to like Battle Chasers and Super Mario World or whatever. And you walk around. There's little characters you can interact with that give you quests. There's a shop. And then the random stages and boss battles are littered around each of the worlds. I think I've done about 5 or 6 boss battles. The first one was like this enemy, and I don't know if necessarily you'll fight the same boss as I did the first time, because I guess it just depends what direction you go on the map.
Right.
Because there's a run and gun level right off the get-go, but you can go past it, and you could end up fighting bosses to the north of the map or down south. And the first boss that I fought was this slime who just bounces around, and then he does this like big stage-wide attack almost. And at first I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is impossible. But then something clicked. It's all like pattern recognition.
Oh, okay.
And the bosses essentially, I guess they're all different, but most of them seem to have at least 3 stages of attacks they do.
Right. And
once you figure out the pattern, it isn't that hard. Like, it's hard, but it's not that hard, because you just got to learn. It teaches you, okay, these are the attacks. Here's the tell for the attack. And then you just got to remember and execute, dodging the move or being in the right place of the screen to not get hit. So at first I was like, holy crap, this game's hard. But then I got into a rhythm of like, hey, I beat a couple bosses on my first try. I don't know if that was just fluky or if it's my like Dark Souls instincts coming in, but it is a tough game, but I think it's fair. Like I said, there's tells on the attacks, and you'll get, even if you don't ace a boss the first time, that's okay. You'll learn the first stage, and then you'll master that, and then you'll learn the second stage, and then the third stage, and so forth. And it's really cool, and it's pretty rewarding when you beat the bosses, because it isn't a total cakewalk.
Right.
You can't just sit there. The nice thing is you get turbo, so you just have to hold the button down while you're shooting. You don't just get to button mash your way through, right? In most games lately, if you're fighting a boss, you just smash. Yeah, I'm low on health, but I end up winning with no skill or strategy, or not executing anything properly, right?
Right.
It's a cool game. The style is just, you've never seen anything like it. It's unreal.
Yeah, it is very unique, man. Like, if you haven't seen this, like, you got to check it out. Like, Cuphead, it's on, it's out for Xbox One and PC, right?
It's exclusive on Xbox and it's on PC. On PC, you can actually get it through Steam, the Windows Store, and Good Old Games.
Okay, cool.
So it's available in a bunch of places. I'm playing on PC on a controller, and I got it through GOG because I had a coupon/deal on it. So I got it for. I was gonna buy it on Xbox, but I'm like, I don't really need to have it on Xbox. I like the price I'm getting this for.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I bought it. I'm interested on hooking up. I got to hook up my TV to my tower because I want to see it on the TV because it's such a cool looking game.
Yeah, man.
It's got 2 players as well. I haven't played co-op, but you can play co-op. I don't know what else to say about it.
Sweet.
If you do not like hard games or not up for a challenge and a little bit of frustration, it might not be for you. But if you like Mega Man, like classic Mega Man and Contra would be like the best comparison, or Gunstar Heroes even.
Right. Yeah.
On Genesis. This game is like right up your alley.
Interesting.
It's pretty cool. It's a cool game. It's also been pretty well received, and I believe it's doing really well, which is great because those guys have worked really hard on that game, obviously.
Yeah. So I gotta admit, this next game that you've been playing, I'm super curious about. I've been like super on the fence. I saw a whole bunch of people talking about it, which is Golf Story for the Switch.
Yeah, so I kept hearing people talk about it on my Twitterverse about Golf Story, and it's this cool game. It's golf.
It's like a golf RPG.
It's an RPG. It's got that 16-bit top-down kind of graphics.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing I can compare it to is like, you remember NES Golf?
Yeah.
Not the original Golf, but like the Mario Golf, where Mario's like wearing a little American kind of outfit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I know the one you're talking about.
Which had all the courses, and I don't remember if there was like RPG elements to that game or not. But it reminds me of that in terms of the type of game it is.
Right.
Like I'm trying to figure out which version specifically. Might be the Game Boy Advance version is the one I'm thinking of. Because it was also on 3DS. But yeah, it reminds me of a Mario Golf, and that it's just a simple top-down golfing game with, your classic tap to start your shot, tap again to lock in your power, and then tap to, whether you're going to go hit the ball straight or slice or...
dude, that sounds exactly like Turf Masters Neo Geo Golf.
Oh yeah, it's the same kind of system.
I love those golf games. They're great.
Except you're a little kid, you're having this flashback with your dad. He wants you to golf. You give it up. You don't do it. Flash forward to the future.
Right.
Oh, I want to make my dad's. I want to respect my dad's wishes. I'm going to become a golfer. You go to the golf course. The instructor's like, bugger off. Like, I don't have time for you. And meanwhile, he's teaching these kids who all suck at golf. And he's like, well, if you come back with some money, I'll give you a lesson. So then you go around the golf course, and there's all these people littered around. There's these bullies. There's just the Frisbee golfer guys and random people that you run into. And they give you a couple of people just straight up challenge you. They're like, oh, yeah, I bet you can't get on the green from here. And, you get on the green a couple times, and they're like, oh man, I lost, and they give you money, and you end up doing a few of these challenges. Like there's this kid in the ocean or in the lake,
right, and
the mom's freaking out, oh my god, my son, he's gonna get eaten by an alligator, and like this alligator jumps out of the water, and she's like, oh, help me. You end up just cracking a golf ball from the shore into his head, and then he like comes flying back to shore because he's got like a propeller hat on, and when you hit him in the head, the propeller started spinning. It's kind of ridiculous in that regard. And then I actually had like my first challenge after the instructor. I got the money, went to the instructor. He's like, yeah, whatever. I'll reluctantly teaches you a little bit. And each of these people that you challenge on the way to this point are actually it's basically the tutorial, teaching you all the different ways of how to hit the ball, like the different modes, the precision mode, how to change, the clubs, all that kind of stuff. And then you get into a match against your first rival. And basically it's like 3 holes, and I beat him. And then, yeah, it seems like now I've unlocked the ability to go to the clubhouse, and I think I gotta beat some of his students before he'll take me on as a trainer, and then I guess you open up like the full. Like I haven't played tons, like maybe an hour.
Oh, okay.
Like, I just got it yesterday.
Right.
But I like what I played. It's a pretty cool game. It's pretty fun. It's a fun golf game too, and it's obviously a perfect Switch game.
Right. Yeah. That's what it sounded like. Like I'd never even heard of it, and then of course it kind of blew up a bit on my Twitter feed, probably similar to yours.
Nintendo Indie Direct, but there were so many games announced during that Direct. So,
and then I saw the aesthetic of this, and it kind of was like, oh, this looks like kind of right up my alley. Like this looks like it would be really great. So,
yeah, no, it's a cool game. I'm really enjoying it. I also played Scene Mora EX on Switch as well.
Interesting.
It's a side-scrolling shooter.
Yep.
It's a full bullet hell shooter.
Right. Yeah, because that's the Sin Mora is. I want to say that's a remake of another.
Yeah, it came out on. I know it's on PC. I'm pretty sure it's on Vita. I don't know if it came out on PS4. I'm pretty sure it's on Wii U. I think it's almost everywhere. It came out years ago. I can't remember who makes it. I'll tell you here in a second. If I can learn how to type. Scene Mora. Where's the wiki? Where are you? There you are. It's Grasshopper. It's a side scroller by Grasshopper.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, it's very pretty. It runs great on the Switch.
Excellent.
It's freaking hard. It has this, so it's like your side-scrolling shooter like Gradius or, I don't know, can't even think of any other ones.
1942.
Well, no, those are top-down.
Those are top-down. Okay, yeah.
Well, I guess technically top-down and side are the same, except for it's just the direction you're going. If you want to, I don't know. Never mind. Anyway, yeah, you're going from left to right.
Right.
There's different pilots, different ships, different abilities, different super moves with the ships, and it's like telling you a story through the campaign while switching you through all the characters. The mechanics of the game has above, like, you don't really have life, you have time. And as you kill enemies, time gets added to the clock. As you get hit, you lose time from the clock. And basically, you have to make it from the start to the end of the stage, or to the boss, with time remaining. But you also have this time slow mechanic, because the screen literally gets littered with bullets. Like every square inch, it's just ridiculous.
Oh man, I do not do good in those games. I lose track of where I am, and it just gets crazy.
It's tough. I feel like I'm out of control and fumbling most of the time because there's just so much shit. The time slow mechanic does definitely help, which is kind of neat. But you also have you can slow your movement as well, which helps you navigate, because you move pretty quickly. Your ship navigates around the screen pretty quickly. You can slow your movement to help with dodging the bullets. The time slow mechanic definitely helps the most. The bosses are massive. They're multi-stage.
Oh yeah, take up half the screen.
I'm sure it's got a lot of like pattern recognition, just like I was saying in Cuphead, same kind of thing. But man, when there's so many bullets on the screen, it's just like ah. It's a neat game. I wouldn't say it's right up my alley. I'd probably say it's a little too difficult with how crazy it gets. Like, I really liked Life Force and Gradius, but I never felt like or R-Type. I never felt like in those games I was like, Jesus Christ, like, what the fuck's going on? Like, you had a chance to destroy the enemies and feel pretty competent.
Right.
And there's portions of this game where I do feel totally confident, and it's a regular, normal shooter where there's only a few enemies and, you know, you're dodging bullets and stuff and it's not too crazy. And then there's just this one enemy that's like, blah, like literally barfs bullets in every direction. And I'm not talking like 3 or 4. I'm talking about like hundreds, if not thousands. The screen is just littered.
Just covered in them.
And it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, those games are the types of games that I want to like a lot, but I play them for 10, 15, maybe even a half an hour, and I'm just like, holy balls, this is, no. Like, but I want to like them. Like, I want to keep playing them, but I just know better at this point in my life.
Yeah, it's like, ugh. It's pretty cool though. It's a very pretty game.
That's awesome.
I do like it, but it's not my total bread and butter. But it's definitely a pretty competent shooter, and it's very pretty. It runs great on this. Like, it's perfect. I played it on the Vita. It looks fantastic on the Switch's screen.
Awesome.
I think I got pretty close to the end of the campaign. On my play, I was playing it yesterday on my break. Yeah, it's neat.
Sweet.
I don't know. If you like those kinds of shooters, man, I keep saying this like all episodes. If you like this, you might like that. It's kind of hard to not say that when it comes to video games, because everyone always has a comparison point, because we're almost at this point where so much stuff is not unique or new anymore.
I hear you.
It's very easy to compare stuff, but yeah, if you're into those shooters, you will like this game. I do like the different. The ships don't feel that different. Their super moves are the different factor between them all. They all control the same. They all just look different. Their shooting patterns are a little different, but they all start out like a focused straight line and then eventually turn into a spread. The spreads are a little different between ships, but
right.
I wouldn't say enough that like, oh my god, this ship is so much better than that one. Though actually there is one ship I do really like because I think their super is the best, but they get the little floating ships next to it, which really, you essentially cover like half the screen with bullets, which can get pretty good in some of the hectic scenes.
Oh, for sure.
And yeah, I got something else too, but I haven't played it enough to say anything.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a similar boat with Hob, actually. I played like the first little bit of it.
Jesus, see, I haven't even gotten to freaking Hob. I have Hob as well.
I just, like, I played pretty much the opening little bit, but I don't feel like I've played nearly enough of that to really...
No, I have nothing to say. I haven't even freaking...
Yeah.
I was playing basically Battle Chasers, and then I played Cuphead for like a while last night. And I was playing Golf Story today at work. Well, like on my breaks because I have the Switch with me, which is very handy.
Right.
And hence why I also played Sin Mora. But yeah, I got Hob. I also got Divinity Original Sin 2.
Which has been getting insane reviews.
Oh yeah, it's got fantastic reviews. But I haven't had a chance to play. Well, I'm gonna lie. I started Divinity, but it's like I haven't. From what I can tell, I'm like, this game seems pretty freaking awesome. It's beautiful. The presentation's fantastic. We picked it up because I'm hoping for our buddy, I don't know if he listens to the show, who ran our D&D campaign. There's a campaign maker in this game, and I feel like it's the way we're going to be able to start playing D&D again with one of our friends that moved away.
Oh,
because
okay.
It basically has a whole campaign creator component. Like, was a big thing they were touting about this game. Like when we were at PAX and I was talking to one of the dads, he's like, yeah, you can essentially make your D&D campaign in this game and play online with your buddies, which that sounds freaking amazing to me. So that's why I picked it up. Me and Trevor got it to basically pressure our other friend to hopefully get it, and then we could start playing D&D again.
Fair enough. That sounds pretty cool.
And then I played some Destiny.
Some Destiny too.
Some crack cocaine. I won the faction war. I picked Dead Orbit. but you can't lose the faction war when you have one of every class and one of each character in each of the 3 factions. I managed to make a Titan and in less than a day beat the game a 3rd time.
Oh, jeez. Oh, you're not going to want to play this game at all by the time it comes out on PC.
Oh, no, I'm going to play it on PC. I think at this point, I'm going to save the raid for PC.
Okay, I was going to ask if you'd played through the raid already.
No, I haven't played the raid. I've had opportunities to play through the raid, but I feel like if I'm going to play through the raid, I'm going to play through it with, like, Trevor and some of my closer friends.
Right.
I will not have a problem playing this game on PC, don't worry. I have a hard time not wanting to keep playing it right now.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I've heard that from a lot of people, so that's fair.
Yeah, I'm still loving it. I'm 290 on my main, my Warlock. And basically my Hunter and Titan, just through like barreling through the mode and being able to share guns, they're already at like 285 and 284.
Wow.
Which is like when you make a second character, it's so easy to level them up once you beat the campaign, because they can just borrow all your high-end guns. And then their drops like immediately start dropping at a higher level. And they kind of catapult through the part that is super grindy.
Right.
Like after 265, the power level, it does get pretty grindy. But
I've heard that.
With having the main character so high and these new characters, they kind of get to fast forward, I'd say, about 20 levels or power levels pretty easily. Now that they're in the 80s, it would be a little grind to get them higher, but definitely not as bad as the first one. It's like you put the work in and they make it easier. Yeah, that game's still good.
That's awesome.
I'm still enjoying it. I can't wait. I have been dialing it down. Like I barely played yesterday. I barely played. I haven't played today at all. I don't think I will. I think I'll actually play Cuphead after we're done recording here. But can't wait for the PC version. Ugh.
Fair enough.
3 more weeks.
Yeah, I'm very excited to play it finally.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun because I'm gonna get to basically Sherpa you guys through everything, which is great.
I'm gonna have to play through the story all by myself the first time, and then play through it.
Well, you can't play with anyone until you do like the first intro part of the game, and then you can start playing with people. But I plan on playing the whole campaign co-op. So I already decided with Trevor I'm going to have a co-op character that we only play with together, and then we can have other characters that we play whenever.
Fair enough.
So, like, because I want to play through the whole campaign co-op with him. That would be fun.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's it for what you've been playing.
Yeah,
I think we can get into some news and stuff.
Some news.
So, Fortnite's Battle Royale mode had 1 million players on the first day.
Apparently people really like that type of game.
Yeah, it's doing quite well.
That's crazy. 1 million players on the first day. I mean, to be fair, it was free, so anybody could go download it and play it.
People like regular Fortnite, so it's not surprising that this would like pick up some steam, especially with obviously how well Battle Royale or PUBG is doing. Battlegrounds. But yeah, 1 million people on the first day. It is available on PC, PS4, and Xbox One.
Right.
I haven't had a chance to download it. I was actually thinking about downloading it on PS4 just to try it. Because a bunch of people on my Twitter feed have been playing it a lot and they really like it.
Right.
They've been having fun. I think it's a little lower barrier to entry or frustration level compared to Battlegrounds.
I don't know.
It's got...
I hear some of that building stuff can make it fairly interesting.
I've been meaning to download it. I just haven't gotten that far. But yeah, great on them. Whether that translates into paying customers, who knows? Who knows how the drama between them and Epic and Bluehole will go moving forward, considering how well it's been doing.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll find out and see.
I'm not going to be surprised if there's going to be legal action, but hey, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I would kind of actually be surprised if there was. It doesn't seem like it would not. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But
yeah, so that's cool. Check it out. It's free. If you like that, you'll probably love Battlegrounds, which is like the same mode on hardcore mode. Man, I haven't played that in a few weeks. After the last time we played, I did so bad, like 3 games in a row. I was so fucking pissed off. I'm like scared to play that game. I was so angry the last time I played it. It did so bad.
Yeah, you didn't like that so much the last time after you played.
No. Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer was released on Thursday after we recorded. Guess what? Red Dead Redemption 2 looks really freaking cool. It looks awesome. Like there was even a doubt or surprise. There's a couple things that's been confirmed. It's a prequel.
Right, which a lot of people suspected.
Yeah, we suspected from the key art because it looks like Butch's gang, which is the gang that John Marston, the character in Red Dead Redemption 1, was part of. So it looks like maybe it's going to be... No one knows. There's a lot of suspicion of that. People are like suspecting that you play as like the whole gang. They're saying that you potentially will play as every member of the gang. That seems kind of crazy.
That'd be interesting. My single biggest question when it comes to Red Dead Redemption 2 is this game going to come out on PC? The original did not. A lot of people really, really wanted it to. I just, if I'm going to play it, I think I'd want to play it with a mouse and keyboard, and yeah. So
I think it will. Not immediately. It's going to be a delay like Grand Theft Auto 5, but seeing how well Grand Theft Auto as well as Grand Theft Auto 5 is done on PC, I'm pretty sure that this will be on PC. Probably 6 months to a year later, but I don't. Seeing how well Grand Theft Auto 5 is done, it would seem really stupid not to.
I agree. I totally agree, but Rockstar's weird about that stuff. Like they never, even with Grand Theft Auto 5, it wasn't for like a year afterwards that they finally announced that it was going to come to the PC. Like they didn't even say like initially like, oh yeah, it's going to come to PC. It was just like Xbox One, PS4, there you go. And people were like, well, what about PC? And they're like, we're not talking about anything besides PS4 and Xbox One. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know, because I feel like personally that's where I would like to play it. So, but chances are, even if it's going to come out on PC at some point, I may end up just holding out hope for it. So,
yeah, I got it pre-ordered on PS4. Awesome Amazon price error. It was like $45.
Wow.
So I'm like, I'm going to pick it up at that price. Like, can't say no. And I can't wait. Red Dead Redemption was like one of my favorite games of last generation. The trailer looks fantastic. I don't know how I feel about the new guy, but at the same time, is this the guy we're playing? We never know. It's just Rockstar with their amazingly cut cinematic trailer showing us what they want to see. There is bow and arrow combat or hunting by the looks of it. People are pretty happy about that.
Right.
They wanted it in the last game. I'm guessing, I can't even remember, but I guess there was no bow and arrows in the other one. But yeah, it looks great. It's no surprise there. In weirder news.
Yes.
Nintendo.
Oh, jeez.
Restricts live streaming for YouTubers who are part of their Nintendo Partners program.
This is such a bizarre thing to me.
It is weird.
Because
let me explain.
Yes.
Before you even say anything. Nintendo has a partner program where if you partner up with them, they'll give you earnings on your Nintendo videos if they approve them to go up in the first place. And they will share YouTube ad revenue with you. Otherwise, if you aren't part of the Nintendo partner program, Nintendo basically claims monetization rate claim on your video, and they just make everything. they aren't going to stop you. There's always the looming threat that they might copyright strike you if you probably put something up really obscene that they didn't like. I haven't heard of that happening. But for the most part, if you make a Nintendo video on YouTube with Nintendo content or gameplay, they usually claim it and you don't get any monetization. Which, whatever. They have right to do that. Most devs are kind of like, well, they're making a video. It adds value to our product. It potentially sells copies of our game. So we'll let people monetize videos. Whereas Nintendo's like, no, it's our shit. It's our money. So they have this program where you can sign up, and then, like I said, they approve the video, and then they share with you a portion of whatever the views and ad revenue ends up being.
So I guess, like,
ridiculous program.
To be fair, when I first read this story, I didn't quite get some of the nuances of this. So Nintendo is restricting live streaming. So that's what this is all about. So if you're a Nintendo partner and you make game videos and you put them up on YouTube, that is the exact same. This has to do with their live streaming, so YouTube Live or Twitch streaming. So that's what this has to do with. But it's really bizarre because they're essentially saying that they don't want anyone streaming their games is more or less what this comes down to. Like, they're flat out saying live streaming on YouTube falls outside of the scope of the Nintendo Creator Program. So you cannot broadcast content on YouTube Live from the account you have registered to the Nintendo's Creator Program. If you plan on broadcasting content on YouTube Live, you have a couple of options. First, you can broadcast content on YouTube Live from a channel that is not registered to the Nintendo Creators Program. So they're saying
chances are they're going to claim monetization.
Right.
And or potentially, if they don't like it, they can do a copyright strike on you.
Or you can cancel your channel's registration to the Nintendo's Creator Program and instead register your video containing Nintendo's IP to the program separately. Videos which have previously been registered through our channel would need to be re-registered individually. So this is essentially them saying that if you want to make money off of anything with Nintendo in it, whether it's live streaming or YouTube, it has to go through them. And this is their way of saying that we're not going to give the okay on people without us seeing it first, which means that nobody gets to live stream it. And that's
it's Nintendo and their online streaming rules and so forth. It's so backwards. I think I have a Nintendo video of me playing Smash Brothers start to finish with I think it's upwards of 2 million views now.
Yeah.
And I am part of their program. For whatever reason, I still get monetization on that video. I don't know why it hasn't been caught by them, but whatever, it hasn't been identified by them, which is fine by me. I don't care. And if they take monetization, have at her. I could care less. But I would never join their program. It's so ass backwards. They've got it completely wrong, and it's classic Nintendo being Nintendo, but
yeah.
What a stupid policy. People are obviously still going to live stream their shit, but they're just, for people who have Nintendo-centric channels, they just must be like...
Well, they're making it very hard to be a Nintendo-centric channel, because what's the point? You're not making a living off of it.
No, you definitely have to go to Patreon or other sponsored type support systems, because trying to make ad revenue with Nintendo just seems like a stupid idea, regardless of how big your channel is. It's just so many rules and regulations.
Yeah, it seems really bad.
In more annoying news, Sony has released an update to the PlayStation VR. Now, this doesn't really affect too many people.
You mean they released a new hardware upgrade?
Yeah, hardware revision.
Yes. You made it sound like it was just a software upgrade. Like, oh yeah, they released an upgrade.
Sorry, no, yeah, the headset. couple little changes
that are really important for somebody like you.
One, they have HDR pass-through, which was like a big weakness of the first one. It could do 4K, but you can't pass through HDR. So for me,
we're talking. To be fair, we're talking with the PSVR. There is a breakout box that you plug into your PlayStation, and then the PSVR plugs into the breakout box. And if you have the first gen, because everything that you run through your PlayStation 4, even when you're not using the headset, runs through that breakout box. So, unfortunately, that first revision of that breakout box, which is the one that both of us have, if you want to play HDR content, you have to unplug it from the breakout box and plug it directly into your TV, because the breakout box won't do HDR pass-through on the breakout box. Which is why Rick is rather upset about this.
Yeah, it's really annoying because it's stupid. They didn't offer, there's no upgrade path just to get that. Because for me, I have to unplug my PSVR, swap HDMI cables. So technically, my PSVR is not hooked up. Now, if I want to play my PSVR, I got to crawl in the back, pull HDMI out, swap in HDMI from the PSVR, and it's just annoying. I shouldn't have to do that.
No, absolutely not.
And then, of course, it's a year later. This version fucking has it, but they should have had an upgrade path for the old one. You can't just buy this box because they redesigned the cable.
Well, excuse me. I mean, to be fair, they've made a bunch of small tweaks to the headset.
Yeah, like I'm looking at the pictures. The cable is thinner and a little nicer. Yeah, it's just really, really freaking frustrating for someone like if I didn't have a 4K TV with HDR, I probably wouldn't give a shit. But because I have a 4K TV with HDR, this is a really huge annoyance, and that kind of pisses me off that there isn't an upgrade path for me.
Yeah.
Besides buying a whole new fucking headset. That's kind of frustrating. If you don't have one, that's fucking dope. Because these changes look nice. This thinner cable coming out the back of the headset looks nicer. The smaller breakout box looks nicer. Mm-hmm. The freaking pass-through is nice. Like, everything's nice. And the headset, the earbuds, attached to the headset in a less annoying way than the current cable does.
Not only that, but it's... Am I wrong in noticing that maybe the connections are exactly the same. The new one has USB 3 as well as instead of USB, USB mini or whatever. So they're also added that, which is cool.
Yeah, not a big deal, but for someone like me, I'm kind of annoyed. I think I might be selling my headset.
Which makes sense.
I think if I unload it now, I might be okay. Pay a little upgrade. I don't mind paying $50, $75 to get the new HDR, because then I can have it hooked up all the time and don't have to fuck around with pulling cables in and out. Because right now, the way I have it, I also have it on a separate input on my TV.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fucking dumb. It's cool, dumb.
Yeah.
Dumb because it freaking affects me.
I mean, like I said, it's
cool for anyone walking in now.
Yeah, it's cool because there is a bunch of quality of life changes outside of just that. They've changed sort of the way the speaker stuff works with the headset. There's a few little changes that they've made. But yes, this new headset is not compatible with the original one.
And that is, I think, out October 14th, they were saying, so a couple weeks here. I read somewhere that they're tweaking the Move controllers as well.
What?
I can't seem to find that.
That one would kind of piss me off, actually.
I can't seem to find the fucking post can't seem to find the poster that was mentioned. It was on NeoGAF, but I was trying to find it, but I can't find the post.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because one could argue that's one of the shortcomings of the PSVR would be the Move controllers. So, I mean, I would be curious how they would be changing it to make it, better, if you will. So,
yeah, I'm trying to freaking find the story. About 2 days ago, okay, here we go. PlayStationLifestyle.net updated Move controllers for alongside the new PSVR. Earlier today, Sony announced updated PSVR headset, blah, blah, blah. PlayStation blog. New Move controllers will come with micro USB instead of current mini B connection.
Oh, that would be really nice.
The micro USB, same connector.
Because I have a ton
Other
of...
big change coming to the Move controllers, increased battery capacity going from 1380 milliamp to 1900 milliamp.
Oh, wow, that's actually pretty
One
significant.
last change, limited to the visual design, going with a gloss back black for the Move button and Sony logo, not much else. So, yeah,
So it doesn't really look like if you
not really
didn't have it, that it wouldn't be that big of a
for
deal.
you now. It's not as annoying as
the HDMI or HDR pass-through.
Yeah. And it's not like the controllers are better or more sensitive or anything. So,
yeah.
That's cool because that would be infuriating too. Well, it wouldn't be. I have mine are ancient. So, like, I only had to buy the headset. So,
right.
Yeah. In other news or other crack cocaine related stories, sorry. I dropped my pen.
Good job.
Not that anyone cares.
Don't drop your pen.
Stardew Valley is coming to the Switch. When is it coming to the Switch, you might ask? By the time you listen to this podcast, it'll be available on the Switch, October 5th.
Ooh.
Yeah, Jesus. That's not a good thing.
Why is that?
Because, I don't know. Do you remember when we used to be addicted to this freaking game a few months ago?
Yeah. Game's real good.
Was that this year? No, that was last year. It was one of our games of the top 5 games of the year.
Oh, absolutely. My wife is still playing it.
Your wife is still playing it. Will be...
Not much left, though, man. Let me tell you.
You know what you should do? Is you should get it to her on the Switch so that she gets off the TV. That seems like a pretty good idea.
Oh, man. Nope. You know why? She'll say no way, Jose, because there's no trophies on the Switch. That's a deal breaker for her.
She's into the trophies.
Oh, does she ever? She gets a new trophy, man, and I hear about it. She's like, yeah, so I'm at 85% or 87%. It's going to be... She's got a couple real hard challenges. So one of the trophies for Stardew Valley is you have to beat the game in the bar. It's like a little twin stick shooter game. So like you're in the game in Stardew Valley, your character can go to the bar and there's a little arcade game in the bar. And if you walk up to the arcade machine and hit the button, you can pay whatever it is, $5 or $20 or whatever of in-game currency, and you'll play this game. And then when your character starts to play the game, it actually takes up the whole screen and you actually play that game. And it's like a twin stick shooter, and it's hard. Like, I was playing it a bunch and it's not easy. And one of the trophies is to beat that game. And I don't know how many levels there are, but that in and of itself will be difficult. And then there's a second one where you have to beat the game without getting hit. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't
played
know.
that arcade game. That's not the easiest game.
No,
because it's necessarily hard. It's because it kind of controls crappy.
Yeah, it kind of controls a little bit wonky. And also, I think that there's like the hit detection the hit detection on when the character bumps into enemies feels a little off as well. So anyways, so that is one of the few things that she has left to do in that game. So she's gotten everything else. I think she has I think it's 3 or 4 trophies left, and those are 2 of them.
That's such a cheat. You get the platinums from all her hard work. That's yes.
Hey man,
I'm pretty stoked. I will be picking it up on Switch. I didn't complete it on PC because I pretty much stopped playing it once I knew it was coming to Switch.
Ultimately, you got to ask yourself, how do you complete that game?
You can do all the challenges in it and unlock I guess you unlock all the stuff. I don't know.
I know.
It's such a good game.
It is so good. It really,
I'm pretty
really
excited.
Is.
I think I'm so excited to play it on Switch.
Yeah, it'll be pretty dope.
Which is bad, though, because, man, we sunk a lot of time in that game.
I know. I think last I checked, I'd sunk over 50 hours into that game. And I'm only I don't even remember. Like, I was only on year 2 or something like that, I think.
Yeah, I think I got into my 2nd or 3rd year.
She's on her year 7, 8 now.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. So, she's put some time into it, that's for sure. It's good, though. It's a relaxing game. That's one thing I gotta say about Stardew Valley that's incredible, is it's such a chill game. It's the perfect game to just, like, come home and, like, relax and chill out. Is.
That's why I feel like on the Switch it's perfect.
Yeah. So,
in other news, PlayStation Live from Paris Games Week, October 30th, Sony will be streaming. I believe they have a press conference.
Yeah, they've
media showcase on the 30th.
Yeah, they're like saying that we got big plans and we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff.
This PSVR update and Move controller updates. These are like the little things to get out of the way before Paris Games Week proper. So October 30th, 8 a.m. Pacific time. We will have the media showcase, which I don't know. I wouldn't say it's E3 level quality, but there's usually some pretty cool announcements.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited. So that gives us something to look forward to at the end of the month from Sony. I don't think Microsoft does anything there or Nintendo. PlayStation does something, obviously, because they've got a lot of European studios and PlayStation's got a pretty strong foothold in Europe.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's it for news, my friend. We can get into PSAs.
Yeah, we got a few of those, eh?
Just a couple quick things. PlayStation System Software 5.0 is out now. I have no idea what's different. I just know I had to freaking update my goddamn PlayStation when I tried to go play
Destiny 2.
Team tournaments on PS4, new functionality. You'll be able to compete against other teams for prizes and status. Whoa.
Yeah, they also allowed you can follow anyone now. So if people out there want to follow us, feel free. You don't have to be verified.
Without actually being friends with them?
Yeah, and you don't actually have to be verified. Before, you could only follow people if they were verified. Man, we should become verified.
I guess that's handy for people who had their friends list full at 1,000 or couldn't add other people. They can follow people and then still play games with them.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of weird. So technically, isn't that like just removing the friend limit completely? I don't know.
And then they've been working on this whole messages update. So PlayStation Messenger they seem to really be like trying to make this thing into an actual messaging app.
I use it. I've been using it tons since I started playing Destiny.
Fair enough.
I hate that it's in a whole separate app because I just hate having 2 separate apps.
I know. It's great if you only want the one on your phone, but it's kind of stupid.
To be honest, I never used the other one, so
yeah.
It's I don't know.
Is it no longer even in the other app anymore? Because it used to be in there.
It's its own app.
So they've completely broken it out of there now?
It's completely broken out, yeah.
Oh, it's kind of annoying. So they've added some changes. So if you send somebody a link to a website, they will now see a preview of the website, like headline and a thumbnail. So I guess that'll help with people not knowing what the hell they're getting themselves into before clicking on links, which is probably a good idea. There's some updates to PlayStation communities, messages. It sounds like it's a bunch of back-end stuff as well. So, yeah, there you go. Broadcasting changes. They're making things like updated systems to the family stuff on. There's also now an enhanced Twitch broadcast option on the PlayStation 4 Pro, which will allow you to stream at 1080-60. Yeah. So,
yeah.
You know,
Speaking of streaming in 1080-60 and all amazing things, dude, I should be getting fiber in about a month.
I hate you so much.
They were pulling the actual drops to the houses around the corner today, and I was doing some digging, and it hopefully should be lit up soon.
I hate you so much.
I'm so fucking excited. I've had such shitty internet for so long, dude. How could you hate me? At least your internet doesn't suck balls.
I just hate that I've got fiber to my building and I can't take it to my suite. It sucks. I hate that.
That's the strata and the building owners or whoever. I don't know. That's
annoying. So anyways. So PlayStation 4 system update 5.0 is out now.
Speaking of PlayStation, Gran Turismo Sport is getting a limited time demo next week.
Yeah, I'm excited about this.
If my calendar would pop up here. The 9th? That's like next Monday. That's weird.
That's perfect because we have Monday off because it's Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, free GT Sport 4-day demo from October 4th to October 9th through October 12th.
There you go.
PlayStation Plus members will be able to preload the demo starting October 7th. Access to the game October 9th. For everyone else, download access starting the 9th. The demo ends on the 12th at 8 a.m. Pacific time. You won't want to miss this limited time demo as your earned in-game credit up to 1 million and unlocked vehicles are transferable to the full game when it launches.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I also actually have this game pre-ordered as well, though I'm not much of a gearhead like you are. But again, this is another one I got on an Amazon price error, like $45. And I'm like, well, I'll get it because it has VR. So why the fuck not?
That's pretty sweet.
So I think we will be talking about this next week because this demo sounds like it's pretty meaty.
I will probably be playing this on Monday.
Yeah, so preload starts on Saturday for that.
Sweet.
Halloween event returns to Overwatch next week as well.
Ooh.
I don't know if it's updated or going to be the same thing as last year. With the Junkenstein's Revenge, I don't know.
Right.
There's going to be new skins, new BS, new crap. It's, Overwatch.
Yeah, that was fun last year. It was like
it was
PvE
cool.
style.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Revenge. I wonder if maybe it'll be the same thing on a different map. Who knows?
Oh man, that's too bad that it starts next week. We're doing a game night on Friday at work, and we're probably going to be playing Overwatch.
This Friday?
Yeah, this Friday.
You're just gonna miss out.
I know, it would have been perfect to play.
And then another little neat thing, Stranger Things released a game on Android and iOS. It's free. I will have links to the downloads in our podcast notes. No, I have not had a chance to play it. It looks like a classic Super Nintendo NES top-down. Looks like an action RPG. Looks kind of neat. It's got a great rate. It's 4.9 out of 5 on Android on Google Play.
Yeah, it's kind of got an interesting vibe.
I've heard some decent things about it, and it's Stranger Things, which starts in a few weeks. Oh my god!
Full that I'm excited about.
Yeah, super excited. I think, Dane, that is all? Unless you got something else to add?
I'm trying to remember. I totally watched something with my wife, and I can't remember what it was now, which is terrible.
That's all right. We all know you liked it and enjoyed it. So
there you go.
Just go watch a movie and you just pretend it was the one Dane watched.
Shut up.
I just watched Transformers. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
I think Baby Driver comes out this week, which I really want to watch.
Ooh, that I'm excited about, yeah.
I want to watch that on VOD. So I'm super stoked for that. Yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at RickF, no KRICF.
You can always come bug me on Twitter at Dane Cody, at DAYNECODY.
Make sure to like, follow, subscribe to Geekoholics everywhere, YouTube, Twitter, Facebooks. Make sure to leave us a review on iTunes if you have not. iTunes reviews help us discover more listeners out there and help the show immensely. And yeah, I think that's about it. You can hit us up on Twitter, like we said, and or we're around. Jump into my Destiny Fire Team if you see me playing Destiny. My PSN name is Rico, but not Rico. It's R3CO. Feel free to add me as a friend if you're playing Destiny. I probably should have said that weeks ago, but hey, do it now. Yeah, until next week, I'm going to say we're out.
Go play Battle Chasers.
Peace.